Now at noon, federal fraud charges against the founder of the nonprofit called Violence in Boston, as well as her husband. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Paula Eben. Prosecutors say Monica Cannon Grant and her husband took money donated to the organization and spent it on themselves. WBZ's Anna Meilers at federal court to show us the charges they now face.
Monica Cannon Grant and her husband are facing serious charges of fraud and conspiracy, accused of spending money meant for community causes on their own rent, hotels, restaurants, and more. Monica Cannon Grant started the organization Violence in Boston in 2017 with a mission to help survivors of violence. And in 2020, she became a prominent figure organizing protests following the killing of George Floyd.
We have to realize that, like, all of us have to work together, and if some of us are doing a little bit better than others, then we should reach in to help.
Now an 18-count federal indictment reveals scathing accusations that Cannon Grant and her husband, Clark Grant, used charitable donations on themselves. According to court documents, Cannon Grant and her husband presented themselves as unpaid leaders of the nonprofit. But authorities say Cannon Grant paid herself an income of more than $25,000 in 2020 and more than $170,000 in 2021. In June 2019, Cannon Grant accepted a $6,000 grant for violence prevention from a Massachusetts district attorney's office. Prosecutors say that money instead went to a nail salon, going out to eat, hotel rooms, fuel costs, and car rentals. Authorities also say the couple collected more than $100,000 in pandemic unemployment assistance, though Cannon Grant was earning tens of thousands of dollars in consulting fees, and her husband was earning weekly pay from a job. The couple's accused of using the money on plane tickets, new furniture, to defray the cost of a motorcycle, and more. There will be a virtual court hearing for Monica Cannon Grant at 2 p.m.
Monica Cannon Grant and her husband arrested for fraud. The feds say they stole money from the nonprofit they ran, Violence in Boston, and used those funds to pay for a lot of personal expenses. Some of the purchases detailed in the indictment: $400 in grocery and Walmart purchases, $145 at a Boston nail salon, and a shopping spree at the Rentham outlets. In total, prosecutors say more than $16,000 was used on the Grant's meals, gas, car insurance, and multiple cash withdrawals. Boston 25 News reporter Robert Goulston was in today's hearing as the couple appeared in federal court.
Is there any way to get a comment on behalf of your client?
Boston community activist Monica Cannon Grant did not say a word when she left federal court.
Monica, just one comment.
She and her husband are charged with taking money from their nonprofit, Violence in Boston, and spending thousands of dollars for their own use. Investigators say the fraud went on for years, from 2017 to 2020.
Cannon Grant's attorney was more willing to respond, calling today's arrest a rush to judgment, saying, quote, drawing conclusions from an incomplete factual record does not represent the fair and fully informed process a citizen deserves from its government, especially someone like Monica, who has worked tirelessly on behalf of her community.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Miss Monica Cannon Grant. Now, I've actually never heard of this woman, just finding out today that she was, I guess, a BLM supporter, which we all know what happened with that. All those women pretty much enriching themselves off of the backs of black people. So this story is shocking and yet not shocking at all. Monica Cannon Grant, who built an anti-violence organization that included a Hyde Park Community Center and food pantry, opened with the help of the Walsh administration, agreed yesterday to plead guilty to a 26-count indictment that includes charges she sucked money out of the nonprofit group and helped her husband defraud a mortgage lender and the state unemployment system. So we just out here just committing fraud all over the place. Cannon Grant's decision to plead guilty came in a short motion to the federal judge overseeing her case, seeking to schedule a formal plea hearing. Cannon Grant and her husband, Clark Grant, were indicted in 2022 on charges they used considerable parts of the $1 million she raised for her group, Violence in Boston, on personal expenses from trips to visits to a nail salon, that they used the money in the group's bank accounts to arrange a mortgage on a home in Taunton and that they applied for a state pandemic unemployment assistance, even though Grant had a full-time job at, it was a Kaoless, never heard of that, but so we got mortgage fraud, unemployment fraud, because the whole COVID-19 pandemic fraud, all that stuff going on at this time. This is crazy. Grant, who has been earlier charged on his own with, among other things, collecting $67,000 in bogus pandemic employment payments, died in a motorcycle crash in 2023. Condolences. Defendants' decisions to plead guilty in federal court are often accompanied by a formal plea with prosecutors, in which the prosecutors agree to eliminate some of the charges and set out a possible sentence they will recommend to the judge. Cannon Grant's motion for a plea hearing states the government assents to this motion, but did not list any proposed changes in charges of a recommended sentence. Among the charges against her, 5 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 5 counts of aiding and abetting wire fraud, 2 counts of aiding and abetting false statements to a mortgage lending company, filing a false tax return, and failing to file a tax return. Her motion could help her with the length of any sentence. Defendants who admit guilt have points subtracted from their checklist judges use to help them determine a sentence. Cannon Grant grew violence in Boston from a Facebook page chronicling crime in the city to an organization that helped lead large protests after George Floyd's death. It's like all these black activists have done the exact same thing, pretty much enriching themselves off of this whole George Floyd mess. With the help of Mayor Walsh, the group got a lease on a building on Business Street in 2020. Phantom Gourmet hired Cannon Grant and an associate for a $75,000 contract to help the company clean up its image after co-founder Dave Andelman outed himself as a racist. The Globe named her a Bostonian of the Year, while Boston Magazine included her in an annual list of the 100 most influential Bostonians. Yo, this is laughable. Come to find out, she's been committing fraud against all of these people, mortgage companies, the unassisted program in Boston, and yet she's one of the 100 most influential Bostonians. Yeah, influencing people to commit fraud and basically get money from selling this whole Black Lives Matter BS that the cops were out here attacking the black people and they need to stand up and rise against. Listen, there are so many of these people just like her who are doing this around the George Floyd incident. The fact that the people who were responsible for BLM, Patrisse Cullors, and her posse have not faced any charges is completely wild to me, because they basically enriched themselves, moved the entire family out of the black neighborhoods to live amongst white people that she says are out to get black people. So make it make sense. These black activists are so hypocritical. It knows no bounds. But she pleaded guilty. Haven't heard anything about the length that she will be spending in jail. Probably going to be at least 10 years, I'm guessing. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and catch you guys next time.